looting, rioting, and civil unrest. These are only a few things you have to contend with without even considering radiation poisoning, if a nuclear bomb is detonated near you. The fact is that if you can survive a devastating blast contaminating miles and spreading heat and dangerous alpha, beta, and gamma particles, the fact is, nowadays, people up to 53 miles away could suffer from temporary blindness. But how could you survive? Everyone presented with the question would most likely say that they could. But this video should answer the question for you. In fact, your survival chances increase, depending on your control of certain factors. The first is proximity. This depends on your position during the blast of the bomb. If you are within a certain distance of the explosion radius, the further away you are, the more dramatically your survival odds double. If you are in a major city where the bomb is dropped, and you'll find yourself with many more issues compared with someone who's much further away. In this example, you're a fair distance away from the initial explosion. But what dangers will you face next? After detonation, most public sense of rationale and order would have been thrown away. This means chaos would most likely occur via looting and violence, as the population are trying to survive during this crisis. This may happen by breaking into hospitals and securing as many valuables as possible. Although, during this time, alpha radiation emitted by the bomb would be taking its toll on the health of most people in close vicinity. Due to this, and all these factors, you'll need to be prepared. One of the most important items you'll need when faced with lethal radiation is a strong, airtight mask or respirator. The larger the protection, the more likely you are to survive. Although protection can vary in different levels. For example, items like face masks provide a very low level or near to no level of air filtration. This would still let radioactive particles in the form of alpha particles. A half or full face painting and decorating mask provides a medium level of protection and filtration, although the filters are much less long-lasting. And finally, the largest level possible of protection is in a full-face respirator or gas mask. This would save you against most of the dangerous chemicals and alpha radiation. High-level military respirators include much larger filters and drinking tubes. This means you can safely consume liquids without the possible dangerous contamination. Talking about supplements, one of the most important parts of surviving nuclear fallout includes how you regulate your supplies. Canned and bottled foods and liquids are most helpful to stop you from exposure to ionizing radiation. Once you've gathered your respirator and your food and liquid supplies, you're going to need to find some place to stay and to make camp, and therefore identify a location that's safe. And you'll need one more thing. That's a Geiger counter. Geiger counters are extremely helpful for finding and identifying radiation, and to find a safe place to stay and assess supplies. A few days after the explosion, radiation levels should decrease. Therefore, the safest place to do is to stay in a hideout and seal all of the entrances and exits, avoiding windows. This should add shielding between you and the radioactive dust. Due to the amount of fallout, in one day, the dose amounts of radiation should decrease by tenfold. It's best to stay in cover for a minimum of 72 hours. For the best survival rate, you should stay covered for at least 7 days, and consider the amount of exposure. And work on improving or moving to a more permanent shelter. Always make sure to wash your clothes after visiting the outdoors to avoid extra contamination. And once you've mastered all of that, you can say you've survived a nuclear war. Thank you very much for watching, and see you all in the next one. Goodbye.